Hello and welcome to Never on the Back Foot. The ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 that started on 2nd June has given us memorable matches and unparalleled contests. If week 1 gave us any indication of how things unfolded, week 2 just elevated it, right? Be it India's fantastic wins versus Pakistan and the USA, or South Africa's narrow wins versus Nepal or Bangladesh, or even England, facing some hurdles to qualify for that Super 8, or even Afghanistan, USA, Bangladesh being the other teams to qualify, and favorites like New Zealand, Pakistan, kind of booking their return tickets. It's been quite the World Cup so far. To join us today, we have Nikhil NG. He is an avid cricket lover who has been a passionate supporter of the sport across formats, loves stories, tactical aspects, and the small nuances in the game. In his world, the game is played between 22 yards, but is always down to the barest of the margins. He has his own page called Wicket Wispers, where he's an absolute celebrity with over 9,000 followers, where he writes cricket articles and makes videos purely for the love of the sport. So, warm welcome to you, Nikhil. Thank you so much for joining us, and to all our viewers as well. Please do share your thoughts, feedback, suggestions, questions, anything in the chat box, and we will, make sure to address it as well. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So, hi, Nikhil. How would you assess the World Cup so far, and how everything has kind of, just gone by us?
Yeah, first of all, too big an introduction. And anyway, thanks for inviting me. I think this is like the second time we're collaborating. The first time I remember, was just after the ODI World Cup. And there was this T20 series between India and Australia. So the wounds were pretty fresh. And it's nice to be back. I mean, I've seen the work that you've done, especially covering the women's game. So it's nice to see your growth as well. And excited to be part of this. And getting on to the World Cup. So let's see. The main big shift was the way we're watching 280 scores in the IPL, and then you're coming here and watching thrillers, low-scoring thrillers. And for me, the other good story was how well the associate nations have actually done in this World Cup to actually compete and come close. And of course, like you mentioned, the big teams missing out is another point that we can dwell about. And just the fact that USA doing well, I think just makes this tournament much more.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, US, as they are named as home bullies, and making the most of that home advantage, have had quite the fairy tale World Cup, that we will discuss through the course of our discussion. But let's, start off with the India-Pakistan match. I mean, this was one encounter that quite literally went down to the wire. Some of us, like me, had given up. We just turned off our TVs because we could not deal with the trauma of probably another loss. But India eked out a brilliant victory, right? What were your takeaways and observations from that game?
For me, it was just a Herculean effort to defend 119. If you remember, yet again, it was a rain curtailed game. We were just waiting for the match to start, and then once it did, India had this big batting collapse. I think they were around 80 odd for 3, and then they slipped to 90 odd for 7, or things like that. And they somehow hobbled across to 119. And after the first innings, and then once the power play, once Pakistan started batting, and once they finished the power play, they were around 35 for 1. And Shivam Dubey had just dropped that catch of Rizwan. So, not going to lie, my shoulders did drop. And memories of 2021 start to come back, of India-Pakistan, the way Rizwan Babar hammered us. But, I mean, I also find it cool how the brain maps certain moments in the game to the entire match itself. So you think India-Pakistan 2022, you always remember 18.5 Kohli to Harris Rauf. Even the ODI World Cup, I thought Bumrah's off-cutter to Rizwan, with Ahmedabad, the crowd rising and things like that, just stands out. This game for me will always be the Rizwan's shot to Bumrah getting bored. I mean, they were coasting, and they had about I think 40 odd from last few overs, I think 5 or 6. And Bumrah had just been brought into his third spell. I thought he just had to see him off, and he decided to play that shot on a surface that was too paced, and that too was across the line. That too literally took a swipe. He swiped like it was on Tinder or something, you can say. And with that, after that, it was just a collapse. And the other good thing was, at no point did you see India's shoulders drop, with just 119 being on board. And somewhere down the line, you start feeling, Pakistan kind of mentally out of it when it comes to closer games in India-Pakistan encounters? that old memories start to trouble them just a bit. Maybe I also thought they shouldn't have sent Imad up the order. I understand they wanted a left-right combination just when Fakhar Zaman got out, but I thought Iftikhar is still one of the better batters who comes down way too low. And yeah, I mean, it was totally worth staying up late, and then neighbors might have heard a huge roar. But yeah, it was a lovely game.
Definitely. I mean, for the ones who missed out live, like me, watching the highlights did not quite give us the same impact, but it was certainly a good win to wake up to. And of all the mocha ads and everything we have seen, I think India just continues to have this massive advantage over Pakistan in ICC events. May it always kind of be this way. And just carrying on our discussion as well, looking at the Oman versus Scotland match, we again saw Scotland register a dominant win, and here we got in this whole scenario of England probably getting knocked out and just giving them a run for their money. So, what did you make of this match? And overall, right, Scotland has been playing some quality cricket so far.
Yeah, that game, Oman got to about 150 in 20 overs, and Scotland hammered it in 13 overs. So it was very clear. If you remember, their earlier game was against England, and they shared that point due to the rain curtail game. So they knew they had to seize that opportunity. There was one way they could get up in the terms of run rate, and they did completely. I thought the way he plays those reverse sweeps, and that just gave them the perfect start. And also, they gave them the best possible chance at that stage coming ahead. Yeah, so.
That's true. And even the way Brandon McCullum, the way he has been playing so far in this World Cup, I mean, last World Cup, right? We saw a few flash in the pan type of performances, but this World Cup, he's really made a name for himself. Hopefully, gets picked up by other franchises and hopefully in the IPL as well. But great stuff by Scotland so far. I think they will be kind of, proud of their campaign. And looking at the South Africa match as well, right? This was the one versus Bangladesh. Now, they've had like two very narrow wins this week. But yeah, I mean, a 4-run win versus Bangladesh, again, another thriller. So, how do you look at this match and even South Africa's campaign at large?
That game it has the quote, barest of matches. I still think it holds good for that game. If you remember, South Africa were in all sorts of trouble. They were 4 down within the power play, and Klaassen and Miller had just started to build a partnership. And they eventually, at the halfway mark, I thought, I mean, South Africa themselves would have felt they must have been 15-20 runs short. And when Bangladesh started to chase, I thought Toy Hrudoy played really well, the way he started attacking. But he got very unlucky with an umpire's call. So you remember what happened? He walked across the line trying to flick one. He misses it, and it didn't look out, but was given out and was just umpire's call. Wickets was umpire's call. And there was another moment where it was after or before that, where there was one that went for 4 leg byes, but the on-field decision was out when they had appealed. So the 4 leg byes didn't stand. Ironically, they lose by 4 runs, so that 4 came to bite them in the end. And it eventually got down to 11 of the last over. They had bowled out Nokia much earlier, so Maharaj had to bowl that last over. He served 3 full tosses. Most days is going over the boundary, but I guess that did, especially that Muhammadullah shot that went to long on. Markham took that brilliant catch. I thought it was hit into the breeze, just stayed up, and I mean, any other day it would have gone for 6, but they pulled through. That's been the story of South Africa. If you want to buy a ticket, buy it to the South Africa game for a good game.
Exactly. I mean, the kind of thrillers that they've given us this World Cup, and we'll talk about that Nepal match in a bit. Just coming back to the Canada versus Pakistan match, right? Again, we saw glimpses of promise from Canada. They kind of put Pakistan in a very tricky situation, but Pakistan somehow just managed to get out of this whole conundrum. They proved to be too strong, registered a win. So again, what were your thoughts on this match? And yeah.
I was actually impressed by the opening batter, Aaron Johnson, for Canada. He's actually from the Caribbean, but he plays for Canada now. And he attacked really well in the game. And during the chase this time, there were no more dramas from Pakistan. Rizwan Babar steered them. I think all the drama was done in the India-Pakistan game. So, I mean, it was... And actually, Mohammad Amir looked good that game with the ball. So, I mean, yeah, I think all the drama was done in the India-Pakistan game. They just had to manage to put it through.
Yeah, I think this was one of those straightforward wins. You don't have to think a lot about it. Just, stick to your basics and probably, the rest will follow. And yeah, the next match we will talk about is the Sri Lanka versus Nepal match, which was unfortunately abandoned and, both the teams shared a point. So let's talk about the Namibia versus Australia match, right? Here we saw how Australia pulled off an effortless 9-wicket win. It just felt like just a walk in the park. They just did it so brilliantly. Again, your takeaways from this game.
Um, this was it was like this instant noodles match got over in no time, and Namibia was 72 all out, and Zampa got 4 wickets, which was very important. I think the moment the pitch has little bit to offer, Zampa becomes such a good bowler because he just plays with you on subtle variations. He's not someone who tosses it up really big like Adil Rashid or someone like that. So I thought getting them 72 all out was the perfect thing for Australia, and the way they chased it down, they literally chased it in around 5 overs. And the highlight for me was Warner's, I'm going to use the I word, intent. The way Warner approached that innings, and actually throughout the tournament, the way he's actually played has been pretty aggressive. It reminds you of that old Gray Nicholas wala David Warner. And you remember before the T20 World Cup, there were few questions on whether Jake Fraser-Mucker would possibly come in for Warner. But Australia's Australia, they back experience, and Warner was perfect in that. So, I mean, they blew them in 5 overs. So,
Yeah, it was one of those matches. I think, the highlights package and the actual match may not have a lot of difference because of how fast, the Ranchis was kind of just conquered and done and dusted with. Let's, look at the USA versus India match, the OG, green card versus Aadhaar card match that I think we all were looking forward to. We saw India pull off this hard fought win. So, again, what did you make of this match? And did you just feel it was unnecessarily being dragged, or was USA just being too good and actually challenging India on that day?
for me, the highlight will always be Arshdeep's bowling 4 he picked up. And just the first ball, I mean, he gets the in swinger, gets him on the pads. He doesn't even look at the umpire, starts to celebrate. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Uh,
Yeah,
and USA were in quite a lot of trouble. They were around 50 odd for 4. And they eventually got to 110, which was some sort of good
respectable.
recovery, you can say. Yeah, yeah. And the second innings, India's chase started with Saurabh Netravalkar updating his CV. So 2 new points. First one is getting Virat Kohli for a first bowler, getting Rohit Sharma out. So Oracle, if you're listening to this, our man deserves a good promotion. And having said that, when they were about 39 for 3 India, it was very important that phase. I thought the way Shivam Dubey and Surya Kumar Yadav played was very mature as well. Actually, Surya was a little lucky. Netravalkar actually dropped that catch. So, Oracle, if you're thinking about the promotion, maybe it's a hike this time. So, with 39 for 3, Shivam Dubey and Sky played very smart. And we all know Surya's ability in flat pitches, right? But it was a bit of a two-pace surface, and I thought the way he played was very smart initially. And later, then he played all those yogasana shots and all that. So, after that, no drama. So, and there was one small moment that I thought was pretty important. The 5 penalty runs USA gave away. The new ICC rule that has come is you need to go through overs within 60 seconds. Aaron Jones was the captain, stand-in captain only for that match. Remember, Monang Patel didn't play that because of an injury. And they were also smart about it. They didn't want to push him that much because they thought the Ireland game is much more important for them with Monang being in there. So Aaron Jones, I'm not sure whether he was very aware of that as such, but that 5 penalty runs was also not nitpicking, but was pretty important in context of the game. And from an Indian perspective, it was very good because we ticked those 2 boxes that we always wanted, like Shivam Dubey getting runs, Surya Kumar Yadav getting runs. He was trolled enough, Shivam Dubey, after that Pakistan
Yeah.
game, but so was too harsh as well. But it was nice to see him 2 points in the bag, so no drama. Good result.
Yeah, definitely no complaining there. But Shivam Dubey, man has been relentlessly, brutally trolled online. Like after that IPL where his performance is kind of just tapered off, midway to now, actually scoring runs is definitely a much what welcome sign, so to say. And even in the dressing room, I think the video that came out, he looked much more relaxed and everything. So that is great signs, heading into Super 8s. And the conditions are going to change, right? We're heading to the Caribbean. So I assume it might be, more suitable for the Indian batters. We've notched some victories there, not thinking of the 2007 ODI World Cup that India very unceremoniously exited, but we still have some good memories from there. But we will talk about India probably a little later on, and let's talk about the West Indies versus New Zealand match. So this was another interesting one because the West Indies, not only did they win, but they also ended up knocking off New Zealand. So what did you make of this game? And somewhere, the way New Zealand has been playing, it is a cause for concern, or is it too soon?
Yeah, you try to look at that game. West Indies were in all sorts of trouble. They were around 30 for 5 within the power play. And Bolt, as usual, got wickets in the first over, like he always does. And I read this stat that Sherfin Rutherford has only played in the power play 2 times. That was his second time. So he came in the power play and he literally batted throughout the innings. Um, they were once Sherfin and Rutherford came, they were just hopping around. And last 2 overs, they had finished bowling all their main bowlers. 19th was given to Darren Mitchell. 20th was given to Santner. 2 overs costed them 37 runs. So you speak about the M word, momentum, and it's such a legit thing in cricket. If anyone's a tennis fan, you would probably know. I'm a Djokovic fan, so the amount of times I've seen Djokovic 2 sets down, taking a washroom break, coming back and winning the next three. So momentum is such a legit thing in our sport, and West Indies would have carried that coming into the innings. And New Zealand also were in trouble very quickly when they came out to bat. And I thought we all speak about Akil Hussain, how well he bowls in the power play, because they don't operate with any other faster bowler. They only operate with Alzari Joseph, and they give the new ball to Akil Hussain. But I thought the way Gudakesh Moti bowled was very smart. He literally tore their middle order apart. I think he picked up 3 wickets or something, and all were big wickets. So West Indies won that pretty comfortably. But it's a cause for concern for New Zealand because most of their players were on the bench or didn't have enough competitive cricket. Even in the IPL, like Glenn Phillips, Darren Mitchell was in and around games, Rachin Ravindra as well. Kane Williamson was constantly on the bench. So, and also New Zealand didn't play any warm-ups, if you remember. So thinking about all that, yeah, and they're also in that phase where they have most of the mid-age to older players. We'll speak more about that, but yeah, it's not looking that good.
Yeah, because I think all over social media we saw this thing like, oh, it's going to be a whole generational shift and change for New Zealand because things are going to be quite different for them. A lot of retirement spending. I think Trent Bolt is playing his last World Cup, so we're already seeing all these tributes pouring in, like compilations of his bowling spells and everything. But I think definitely, ICC events and Trent Bolt getting wickets up front is marriage made in heaven. And yeah, let's see how New Zealand, copes with that sort of a change. And just looking at our next match, we have the Bangladesh versus Netherlands match, which I think had the potential, to kind of go down the wire. But Bangladesh, just kind of held their nerve. They registered a crucial 25-run victory, which in the context of their Super 8 qualifications was much needed. So how would you look at this win and Bangladesh's campaign so far looking promising for you?
Speaking about the match, I'll just touch on the small moment that I saw. So it was before the match, during the national anthems. As usual, the camera focuses on each and every Bangladeshi player, right? And there was one shot that cut to a gentleman in the crowd. His head was up, his eyes were closed, and then there were tears coming down both of his eyes. I think just that shot speaks volumes about the passion with which smaller countries watch the game and support the game. Nepal, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, India, though you leave, it's another level of madness. But it's so nice. It's such a heartwarming story. And coming to the game, I thought Shakib's innings was very important because he hadn't been doing that great. And post that, there was also a lot of criticism about him. So that innings was very important. And the moment for me was one of the catches of the tournament, I feel, is by Cybran Engelbrecht. There was the Aryan that was just for that game. So remember, he picked up 2 crucial wickets.
Yeah.
There was one ball he bowled to Liton Das with Liton Das sweeping. And Engelbrecht's at deep mid wicket. He's at deep square, like I believe. He runs all the way to deep mid wicket. He has about 30 meters, takes a brilliant diving catch, and then Alan Wilkins on comms thinking, wait, did he just get there? So I thought it was a brilliant thing. And then I just love Engelbrecht, I think, just for the story itself, right? So you Google 2008 Under-19 World Cup, catch of the tournament, Engelbrecht's right there. I believe he took a screamer at Gully or things like that. And somewhere down the line, he felt that his career was not at the right track. He sort of left cricket, moved to the Netherlands, and he took up business studies. Post which he started playing cricket just as a social activity around the weekends, things like that. And people started saying, "Well, you're that good, you better come back in." And he makes the Netherlands side, and then he's about 35 now. He's just. I thought these stories about associate nations, people getting the second shot kind of thing, just makes it all the more lovely to hear and watch. So that's about it from that game. So.
Yeah, I mean, we are so fixated on the outcomes. It's these little stories that actually make a difference. Even the whole of the US team, right? The kind of stories they all had, like some of them tried to pursue careers here in their cricketing careers here in India, didn't work out. They went there, and now we see them so successful. But this is a lovely share nonetheless. And here's hoping, we get to see him at least for a few more years. He's 35, which is kind of like the death knell for most of the cricketers. They're like, they're old people, they should retire and everything. But yeah, and let's just also focus on the Oman versus England game right now. This was another massive boost to England's net run rate as they chased down a total of 48 in like 3 overs. Certainly, the controllables are still in their hand, right? I mean, this was a pressing win, and they eventually did make it to the Super Eights as well. So, in the context of that, England would still be happy, right, with this sort of a win.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this also was instant noodles match, like I like to call it. So it was done and dusted in no time. And like you mentioned, leading up to it, they actually needed to win and win big in order to go up. Uh, improve their run rate with respect to Scotland, and they just blew them away with Rashid Wood and Archer. And it was very quickly. They quickly realized they had to finish it, and they finished it in about 3 overs. It looked like they left the gas stove on or something at the hotel and they had to rush back. But they did the perfect thing. So from there, no complaints from their side. So it was brilliant.
Right, and let's move on to our Afghanistan versus PNG encounter. We saw how Afghanistan kind of continued their purple patch. They won in a comfortable fashion, made it to the Super Eights as well against a lot of people's predictions. So, thoughts on Afghanistan's campaign so far? And again, right? They seem to be ticking a lot of boxes, getting their basics right, and actually challenging all your top flight nations.
Yeah, for me, the standout has actually been the way Fazalak Farooqi has bowled. He hadn't had enough game time coming into the T20 World Cup, but the starts he's given them has been really good. Picking up wickets consistently throughout every game. He's also one of the leading wicket takers in the tournament. And with respect to that game, it was they had to chase just 96 Afghanistan, and they comfortably did it with I think 5 overs or something like that to spare. But at the same time, it's also this is good, important experience for the upcoming newer associate nations, which I definitely feel they'll only increase from strength to strength. So experience and exposure is such a key aspect in the development of these smaller nations, and yeah, in that sense, it's a very nice. There's this ideology where like ODI and test is supposed to be only for these elite clubs, and T20 is now this democratic way with like allowing most of these associate nations to take part, and they've been really good this World Cup. So
Yeah, I mean, the inclusion of associate nations is definitely a step in the right direction because we have seen, right, how, as you rightly said, even the World Test Championship for that matter, or your ODI World Cup is just restricted to like 8 teams, max 10 teams. But I think T20 itself, the format has opened up a lot of avenues for your lesser rich nations to kind of, just keep their passion and love for the game going. And I think exposure like this in World Cups will definitely help them. We will see much better performances. And this World Cup, right, having 20 teams is something which is massive. I mean, we still have the Super Eights now, which is like another mini World Cup in itself. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a great sign. And just looking at the USA versus Ireland game as well, which was abandoned, which again was unfortunate because it had the potential to, probably be a thriller or so. But let's focus on the Nepal versus South Africa match, which was a match that absolutely went down to the wire. First thing in the morning, you get up, you see this match. That's like, oh my God, is Nepal going to do this? Is this finally going to happen? And we see South Africa do the most impossible thing of pulling off a one-run victory. That run out is going to haunt Nepal. You could see how much it that loss kind of meant to them. So Thoughts on the match, Nikhil? And did you also think Nepal was going to do the unthinkable?
Yes, at one point. But I thought you look at the entire match, South Africa's batting looks scratchy yet again. It's their bowlers that are actually winning them games. So they batters better come into the World Cup at some point in time. I feel it's also because of the type of pitches they play on, right? These two-pace surfaces is not something that you get in South Africa. Usually they're just belters. So it's little difficult for them to adapt as well, but that's what this game is all about at times. So they scored 115 on the side of on a spinning track, and Nepal's run chase was going, and they needed 8 of the last over, and it eventually got down to 2 of 1. So the picture of the match is this: Bartman's the one that's bowling the last over. He has his hands on his head. Um, Jansen's at looking whether the throw has actually hit the stumps. Klaassen is throwing the ball, and the batter is short by such a small margin. So you remember what happened? The ball was bowled into the surface. The batter missed it. De Kock has a shy at the striker's end. He misses. Bartman thinks it's all over. They might have lost it. Klaassen comes running in,
Classic,
has a
yeah.
shy at the non-striker's end, and then the batter is short by that much. So yet again another thriller from South Africa. But on a serious note, the batters need to come into performance.
At some point, yeah, because quite literally it's been their fielding and their bowling that has been, saving the blushes, so to say. But that
Yeah.
last effort that you spoke about, Klassen was just so confident that it was going to be out. There was no way in the world that was not. Maybe, if there was that non-hesitation from the batter, running across to the non-strikers, then things could have been a little different, or maybe a diving effort could have changed things. But that's where hindsight is a wonderful teacher, and maybe going ahead, they can probably make the most of these crunch moments. But it was a great match to, I think, start of the day. Like, I was eating breakfast and I'm like, oh my god, this match is happening in Nepal. Kind of do the unthinkable. And I think even the camera work in this match, right? The way it was just constantly panning to the fans, and yeah, it was just lovely. I mean, you love ICC events for the work they do, in the digital production side of things as well. And yeah, riding from the highs of this match, we went to the India versus Canada match. No, sorry, we go to the Uganda versus New Zealand match, where New Zealand pulled off a respectable win by 9 wickets to kind of just end their campaign on a respectable note. So, what did you make of this win? And I think there was a cute visual like after the game where Kane Williamson was signing the jerseys of some of these Uganda players. So great signs, right? And like how to be respectable in defeats, just take a leaf from New Zealand, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but there's this phrase in Kannada, okay? It says, train ಹೋಗಾಮೇಲೆ ticket ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, okay? Which literally translates to you're trying to buy the train tickets after train has left. In cricketing terminology, I would like to call it dead rubber. The game was done and dusted for both of them in terms of campaign, but it was more for pride. And I thought the way New Zealand got Uganda all out for 40, yet again, Bolt doing so well. He gets a 2 wicket first over. The number of times he
Yeah.
does that. And Southie also got, I think, 3 for 4 or something like that. And they smashed 40 in about 5 overs. But it's good experience for Uganda as well. So but lots for New Zealand to think about revamping the side. Also, like they don't have enough new gen players coming in. You think about recent times, Rachin Ravindra is one name you can think about. Glenn Phillips, you can't really say is that new.
Yeah.
Apart from that, they have Finn Allen, but there's no one else yet there. And that too with Bolt now retiring, massive shoes to fill. Yeah, they'll go through this transition phase. Also, their talent pool is pretty less, right? If you think about it, the predominant rugby nation, so it's difficult. They don't have the luxury that we as Indians often have, which we often take for granted. I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We take it for granted and, kind of fixate our attention on just certain cricket, like, lobbies and like cricketing states in our country. But New Zealand, again, right, it's a very small island. And I think even Sophie Devine, right, like spoke about how the women's talent pool is also like very much shrinking. And the situation on the men's side of things also seems to be this way. Then it gets, a little concerning. Let's take a quick comment from Akash here. Hi, Akash. It says New Zealand, when McCullum was there, was something entirely different. And yeah, Nikhil, I mean, somewhere you see there is again, like there's no one been on par with Brendan McCullum, right? After he retired, and somewhere they're just still kind of searching for the next big talent, but that hasn't quite happened, right?
Yeah, this generation, Williamson, Southey, Bolt, all were from the same under 19 World Cup as well. So that phase is slowly going away. So this new phase will be very difficult for them also to transition into, which is not never easy. We have also seen, and also the way other teams are catching up. Afghanistan, you just think the way they've shot up in no time. So there's a lot of competition, you would say, and yeah, a lot of remapping to be done, but they'll find a way. New Zealand's New Zealand.
Yeah, even I think Sri Lanka for that matter, right? They had this whole transition phase after Jayawardene Sangakkara, retired, and then it was a very ugly phase for them. They were losing a lot of matches, but now you see such superstars emerging, right? Who are also playing in the IPL. They are being respected across the globe for their cricketing skills. So hopefully New Zealand can find a way around that. And yeah, let's look at our next match, which is the Namibia versus. Oh no, wait, lost my train of thought there, I guess. Yeah, so unfortunately, the India versus Canada match was washed off. I think a lot of fans were again looking forward to this because I had some friends there, who wanted to go watch the match live in the stadium, but that was not the case. But so far, Nikhil, what have you observed from India's campaign and going ahead to the Super 8s? Do you feel confident and the Final Four qualification still looks very much in the reckoning?
Oh, big question. Okay, so the talking point I'll just touch on the India Canada game. So the talking point was why there were not enough covers on the outfield, despite them knowing that it's going to rain. The pitch was very much covered, but the outfield was something that many people are raising questions about. But coming to India's form, it looks good, but it's always the crunch games that we've always been waiting to do well. But if you look at it little more in depth, I thought Kohli needs a little more runs, which I feel will West Indies wickets should help him because with the type of intent that he's trying to play, right, it's very difficult on the surface in New York that they played. I think West Indies pitches would be much better, ball coming little bit much better onto the bat, and the other very important aspect for India, I feel, is this phase where they move from the Caribbean to the Caribbean rather. So how well they adapt quickly, batters and bowlers for that matter, is pretty important. But I definitely see a Final Four for India. I mean, if they don't, it's that's the sort of expectations they have, right?
Yeah, that's actually true because I think after this World Cup, we're going to see the end of a lot of things, right? One is definitely Rahul Dravid would not be continuing as the head coach. Then there's these reports that, Hardik Pandya is going to take up captaincy for the T20 side of things. Surya will be his vice captain. And we will have this new head coach, which could possibly be a toss up between Gautam Gambhir and WV Raman. So let's see how that kind of pans out. Reports are indicating to this as well. And again, let's take Akash's question here, which says, how many spinners should India play according to you guys? Because we're shifting to the Caribbean, and there is, of course, this temptation to, kind of play the Kulcha duo together here. But in place of who, and does that really, upset the balance that is kind of there in the team right now?
I honestly think for the West Indies, they have to get in Kuldeep. You leave out one of the seamers, either of Harshdeep,
Siraj?
mostly Siraj. Yeah, mostly Siraj. They get in Kuldeep. They don't touch Jadeja and Akshar. You play three there, and I feel that sorts it out because you have Pandya who can bowl up front. You have Arshdeep who can bowl top tail, Bumrah as well. They have that flexibility. They have three spinners that time. Shivam Dube if necessary. But yeah, I think that's like the best combinations for them, honestly. Yeah.
Definitely. Let's see, if this change is kind of reinforced because I'm sure that, Kulcha would be sitting on the bench, just warming the bench and feeling very restless and they would be raring to, just kind of get out there. And yeah, the next match under focus is the Namibia versus England match. Again, we saw, how England pulled off a win and more or less eased their net run rate concerns. I mean, at that point, they were still waiting for what would happen in that Scotland Australia match. But so far, Nikhil, even England, right, the brand of cricket they've been playing has been wonderful. Like Phil Salt has been in great form. You have Will Jacks,
Yeah.
coming in and doing his stuff. The spinners have been kind of doing their job as well, right?
Yeah, that game I thought England were more worried about the weather than Namibia of some sorts because the amount of delay that was there at the start of the game. And post that, when Namibia started, they actually got England into a spot of bother. England were 13 for 2, something like that. And Bairstow came in. He literally took on the spinners, and I thought that was very nice from his personal perspective, the way he played that game. And Harry Brook also came to the party. So the way he smashed seamers, especially, there was one, I think the 19th over, which went for 19 runs or something like that. So uh, that was a key moment. And when Namibia came out to bat as well, the game was again reduced from 11 to 10. Again, it rained one more time in the middle. And when Namibia came out to bat, England were too good, and one of their openers also was struggling so much. They literally subbed him out, and they got David Visa in. And Visa's last game, I thought
Yeah.
he actually played really well, and he looked like the only batter who would look like taking the game away. Nevertheless, good career as well. So in that sense, England blew them away. But yeah, lots to take away from that.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, here I think they somewhat put matters in their own hand. They didn't have to rely on external factors. But just looking at the Scotland versus Australia game, it was a critical one, with respect to how it had the potential to knock off England, and we'd see this major upset, as people would like to call it. But it was a well contested match, right? So, what did you make of it?
I thought the way Scotland started was so good. The entire first innings, they played like the proper modern T20, especially the way Munzi and Brendan McMillan played. There was one six he hit off cover, which was a ridiculous shot. It looked so good on the replay.
Yeah.
And they scored about, I think, 180 odd, things like that. And when Australia came out to bat, they were actually in a spot of bother. They were about 60 for 3. But for me, the highlight was the way Stoinis played. Even Travis had played well, but I would rate Stoinis' innings much better. He scored a 59 of 29. But it what was the standout for me was the way how smart he actually played in that innings. There's a huge talk about breeze in West Indies, right? The number of times you hear commentators saying he's hitting into the wind, he's hitting against the wind. It's such a huge factor in West Indies because the grounds are not that staged like India. So breeze is a huge factor in there. And Stoinis was very smart in terms of his options. I thought the way he started playing reverse sweeps to the spinners was hitting into the against the wind. I mean, into the wind rather, was much easier because they actually had 3 fielders on the leg side waiting for him to fall to the trap, hitting against the breeze. So Stoinis was very smart in that innings, and also Australia quickly took the game away. I thought Stoinis' innings, like I mentioned, was the difference, and the only time England were happy with an Australian win. But nevertheless, very good World Cup campaign from Scotland. Yeah, like Akash mentions, yeah, it's a sad end to Scotland, but they played really well. They actually played better than Ireland, to be very honest, which is a huge boost for their future as well.
Yeah, I mean, for the future prospects, this was a campaign to remember. And even I was feeling bad for Scotland. I just felt like, the kind of pressure they put on Australia in that run chase, right? The match could have gone anywhere and we could have seen a big upset, kind of bringing even in context Josh Hazelwood's statement, right? Like he mentioned something about, the win and trying to, deliberately knock someone or like, stuff like that. But again, I think that's just chatter. And Matthew Mott also, I think later just played it off. Like, he has a very dry sense of humor. So let's not read into it too much. But still, the match was definitely not one-sided, which is, again, a great thing. And looking at the Ireland versus Pakistan match, I think it was just a quaint affair because Ireland huffed and puffed, struggled to get like that 106 on the board, and Pakistan yet again managed to make a mountain hill of the run chase. We saw the wickets fall. Babar Azam is still there, yet fans are like, "What is he doing? Why is he just not getting them across the line?" So, what was your assessment of that run chase in particular?
First innings, I thought Ireland's top played like the tail. The tail played like the top. They were actually 32 for 6 or something, and they got to at the end, which is like proper tail wagging. I mean, you speak about the way Shaheen Shah Afridi bowled that game. I thought you look at the highlights, the length that he bowled was so much better. He was initially very full in the starting games, and he pulled the length just a little bit when he realized there was not that much of swing. And also, you look at the scorecard, 16 overs between four bowlers of Pakistan, 58 for 9. Okay. The rest four overs by Abbas Afridi and Shadab, that gave them 42 runs without a wicket. So those four overs actually costed them quite a lot. But when Pakistan came out to chase, they did only what they could. They were 57 for 5, and they eventually crossed the line. There was one phrase that I read. Imad actually scored only one boundary, okay, that game. So I read a quote that said, Imad finally managed to connect the cut shot. He's been trying since the India game, all to hit it straight to the fielder. Very cheeky.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely cheeky. And even Imad Wasim's comments, I think after this match, or I don't know if it was after some other Pakistan match, he said something on the lines of, I can't remember what he said, but it was something very interesting. Okay. It was
Yeah, he spoke about
somewhere,
mentality. Yeah.
about how there has to be certain changes which has to be brought in. This is the lowest that Pakistan has hit and everything. I'm like, man's making his comeback. Like, he retired and he came back, and that whole drama had happened. No, so it was just very interesting when he said that. What do you think? Do you think Pakistan is in for another overhaul and press the reset button for the 10,000th time with their coaching staff and team?
The problem is the board interferes too much. That's the sad thing. I wish they give Gary Custon a little bit of a long run. I mean, they
Yeah.
shouldn't just be sacking him after one World Cup. It's not just the coach who is to be blamed, right? It's like literally all the 15.
Players, yeah.
So, yeah, the players as well. So, it doesn't make sense if they are again removing Gary Custon. Because each time, if the chairman changes in the PCB, even the coach changes, captain changes, even the mess that happened, right? Shaheen Shah Afridi was made captain for the New Zealand tour. Pakistan lost that. Suddenly, Babar Azam has got back in. It's pretty messy. Yeah, you can never predict. Like, I don't think even Pakistan can predict. So that's
Yeah. Even Akash is mentioned here. He's asked who should be picked as an all-rounder. Imad says me, of course. I mean, I think he rates himself really highly, like great self-esteem there. But his performances have certainly left a lot to be desired, right? I mean, he hasn't been up to the mark, and so yeah, let's see how Pakistan kind of comes out of this mess, so to say, the lowest according to him, of where they've reached cricket-wise. And let's look at the Bangladesh versus Nepal match. That's how Bangladesh eke out a 21-run win. So, what were your takeaways from this game? And great to see Bangladesh qualify for the Super 8s. And do you see them pull off some magical wins through the course of this World Cup?
that game also was a pretty low-scoring encounter where you can't really predict who will win at the even at the halfway mark, right? Because till two sides have batted, you have no idea on pitches like those. Uh, but I thought after just scoring 106, the way Bangladesh came out to defend was really good. I thought the star has been Tanzim Shakib. The way he's picked up wickets every game, he's also one of their under 19 talent. And also Fizz has done so well, Mustafizur Rahman. Especially after that injury, right? His pace had dipped quite a lot, but he's working more with angles now. He's realized he can't bowl 140 plus yet again, but he's still managing to deceive batters, which is a very positive sign. And it's it's a it's a good result from Bangladesh perspective because they upped Sri Lanka, and I thought Sri Lanka's time was up in this World Cup, if you know what I mean. And Bangladesh would be very happy with what they've achieved heading into the Super 8s, I would say.
Yeah, certainly. Let's see, if they can actually come good there as well. Now you're playing against way stronger teams. But just looking at the Sri Lanka versus Netherlands matches, where I think Sri Lanka finally showcased why they're such a great outfit. They have great names in their midst, yet, you could see how they just did not get it all together. And registering that massive 83-run win versus Netherlands would have done a world of good to their confidence, a great morale booster and somewhat an ideal way to end their very forgettable campaign.
Yeah, I thought that game actually showed the. See, Sri Lanka has always had potential, right? But the potential came into execution that game, I thought. The way,
Yeah.
especially the intent they showed. I thought the way Asalanka played as well. The days it comes off, he looks like such a good batter, especially those huge sixes he hit over covers. It was very nice to see. And they played like the proper modern T20 style, and they posted around 200 or just over 200. And I still thought they reached 200 with Netherlands fielding so well. I watched Engelbrecht yet again, saving some absolute screamers at the boundary, stopping. I think they saved quite a lot of runs that game. But the most fun moment for me was in the second innings during the run chase. Pringle is facing Hasaranga. He doesn't read the ball, I believe. He just charges at him and misses it completely. Mendes, and he continues walking. He decides he doesn't want to even try and step back. Mendes doesn't take the bails off. He's waiting for him to look back. Okay, once he tries to put it in, he stumps him. So it was very cheap.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with Sri Lanka, right, they can take some heart from this campaign. They will be raring to again come back strong because they have match winners in their ranks. It's just a matter of, getting that combination right. And we're almost reaching, the end of our discussion with the group stage matches. The New Zealand versus PNG game as well, right? We saw how New Zealand kind of eased past PNG without breaking a sweat, and a rather sweet end to their campaign because it definitely means a lot of things for them going ahead as well. We spoke about the whole transition side of things, but just looking at PNG as well, right? I mean, they have also had quite an interesting campaign. For me, my memory goes to that match versus West Indies, where somewhere, I could see them actually put so much pressure on West Indies. Okay, this is a team which has kind of redefined the way we look at T20 cricket at large. But PNG too, right? A lot of learnings, and yeah, they would fondly remember this campaign, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely from PNG perspective. But coming to that game, the stat would always be for Lockie Ferguson. 4 overs, 3 wickets, 0 runs would be the highlight, and
Maidens, yeah.
yeah. And also, it would be the last time Southey and Bold actually bowled together,
Yeah.
which is sad to see. Like, you think about Anderson, Broad, that was just broken recently with Broad retiring. Now it's sad to see Southey Bold no longer bowling together in partnerships. But with PNG got just about 79, and New Zealand chased it in 12 overs. It was not that easy as well. But so PNG would definitely take positives out of the way they've approached it. So yeah, in that sense, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and last but not the least, we have the West Indies versus Afghanistan match that I was certainly looking forward to because of the brand of cricket that both of them have been playing. But it really didn't turn out to be a clash of titans because somewhere it just became a thrashing of Afghanistan at the hands of West Indies. We could see clear domination. Nicholas Puran just kind of going all out. So yeah, Nikhil, what were your thoughts on this match and a fitting conclusion to the group stages?
Yeah, definitely. I thought the way Puran batted was really good. He scored 98, but shows why he's still one of the best T20 batters going in the circuit with Klaasen, Suryakumar Yadav. There was one, yeah, he took 36 runs of Azmatullah Omarzai in 1 over, and
Yeah,
post that they posted 92 in the power play, which is, I believe, the highest power play score in the World Cup.
this
And
edition.
yeah, in this edition rather. And even when they came out to bowl, they were really good. Obed McCoy got his first game, and I thought he bowled very well with that being in. And the thing is, they still don't play Shimron Hetmeyer because I believe they preferred the middle order batter in Shea Hope. They feel they have enough power at the end with Russell, Rutherford, and things like that. And yeah, West Indies campaign is also going really good under Sammy, who knows how to win a T20 World Cup. So, in that sense, it's going pretty good and very good support as well from the crowd, right? They're in
Yeah,
jumping into swimming pools and all that. So,
yeah, it's an entirely different vibe, man. The kind of cricket they play there and the whole environment, the stadium and everything that's there. But this was, I felt, the perfect conclusion to our group stage matches, and even the reason, why we did our shoot today to just, kind of put in context the kind of group stage matches that we have seen. But even so far, right, Nikhil, we have seen the pitch and conditions be the subject of so many discussions. Like, the pitch is so bad because a lot of people are coming in with that IPL mindset. Hey, we'll easily see, 250 or probably even 300 scores being touched. But yeah, that's not possible because the conditions are entirely different. But what did you make of the pitch and conditions? And were you happy initially with the decision of ICC to, kind of host this World Cup partially in like foreign conditions like the USA?
in USA, they particularly started hosting it in New York because, from an economic perspective, they thought it would bring in the masses. There's
Yeah.
also Olympics later on. So they thought from an economic perspective, it's the perfect thing for them to do. But coming regarding the pitches, I thought they were not the best, but I thought it was little better after that India Ireland game. There was Rohit got hit that game, and Harry Tector also got smashed into the helmet by Bumrah. And post that, there were lots of abuse online, and the pitch didn't have that uneven bounce anymore. But the sad part is the outfield isn't that great. It's still a sandy outfield. As a result, the moment some batter hits it, it doesn't. It just sticks and waits in there.
It
So in
doesn't
that
travel to
sense,
the
they
boundary. Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't travel. It's like Bangalore traffic. So no one actually goes anywhere. So the thing is, the West Indies pitches are still okay, but the thing is more with the USA pitches. But in West Indies, what's nice to see is there are enough mid scores. That 150, they also have the other end of spectrum as well to get 200 games, which is nice to see. And I would like to see how the ball, whether it actually turns. Because the moment it turns, sides like Afghanistan and things like that become, it'll be very nice to see though. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And we have the Super 8s that beckon us. So, are there any matches that you're particularly looking forward to? You're excited? I mean, it can be non India matches as well, but anything coming to your mind?
In the first group, which is India's group, I'm going to say India Australia because I think they know how to disappoint us, and I'm ready to get hurt again. But I want
Uh,
in, like let's see whether India can do something. And in the second group, I think West Indies England is something that I'm looking forward to because they've had enough bilaterals before the IPL, I believe, and um, it's a battle between the top heavy batting sides. And just watch out for South Africa. I feel the moment their batting comes together, they'll be a much better side because right now they're only functioning on their bowling. So I feel the batters might find it little better in the Caribbean with the ball coming on much better than in the US. So those are some matches that I'm looking at. What about yours?
Yeah, I mean, similarly, India versus Australia was one match I was looking forward to. Hopefully, we can rewrite the wrongs of 19th November. I'm just tired of seeing those Khada Ho Aaj Bhi Wahi reels
Yeah.
of India having lost. So I hope this can be like proper revenge time. But all in all, I think all matches of Super 8s are going to give us something to look forward to, right? Because this is the cream de la creme of the best teams that have made it so far.
Yeah.
And I hope we get to see some decent matches and not teams huffing and puffing to like 110, 115. I mean, they can still make matches out of it. It does make it interesting, but yeah, somewhere those 150s, 160s also getting defended or chased makes for good viewing. And yeah, Nikhil, finally, what's your top four prediction? Like, I mean, I know we have had this conversation like off air as well, but yeah, what does your top four prediction look like?
Okay, so this one I've changed about two or three times only because of that. I wasn't. I actually thought Afghanistan would top the table and not West Indies initially. So with that, I did all combinations. This was way before, and I had actually landed on four teams. But now everything's changed with West Indies topping that table. But top four, I'm going to say Australia first one, England second, India third, and fourth. Everyone's going to say West Indies, but I'm going to say South Africa. I just have some funny feeling. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my top four. What's yours?
Yeah, mine was very similar. I think India, Australia, England, and West Indies. Because I really feel like, it's going to be the four of them. India not making it to the semi-finals will again make a lot of people upset at the ICC headquarters. So I think, yeah, it's going to be India. That's definitely
Headlines
going to
here,
make
huh?
it.
Headlines here, headlines here.
No one's gonna clip this, Nikhil. But yeah, I think we have locked in our top four predictions. So probably let's see who kind of gets it right. But I would be quite interested to see if actually South Africa or say someone like Bangladesh, Afghanistan kind of make it through. It just makes things all the more interesting, and it would mean a lot, right, for nations like Bangladesh and Afghanistan as well.
Yeah, definitely. Especially Afghanistan, the sort of rise they've had, and they're very smart. Whichever country they go, they pick the right batting consultants. Even in India, they picked Ajay Jadeja, they picked Dwayne Bravo there. So tactically, also they're very smart with Jonathan Trott heading it. And
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't love Afghanistan, irrespective of which team you support? So it'll be very nice to see. I hope they can sniff in. But yeah, let's see. Super 8 will be a proper street fight.
Yeah, that's true. And I think as RCB fans, we have faced enough disappointment in our lives. We have gone through it absolutely for 16, 17 years. So I think, even if India doesn't make it, we will still appreciate good cricket, which is,
Yes.
I think, the aim at the end of the day for all of us. And yeah, Nikhil, that
Yeah.
pretty much does conclude our discussion as well. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me today and discussing this entire week of very exciting cricket. And thanks to all our viewers as well, who have put in some lovely comments which helped our discussion flow as well. And guys, don't forget to follow Never on the Back Foot on Instagram, X, and on YouTube if you are new here. And also check out Nikhil's page. It's called Wicket Whispers, and they
Wispers.
have Wispers, and they have like 9,000 plus followers, which is so cool. And he makes like
Flex.
amazing edits. So yeah, guys, please do check that out. And until next time, take care and bye, guys.